This clock says 7, will be 7 o'clock?
Yep.
Feels like it.
Yes, we are. It
Feels
being
like
7
it.
o'clock on Thursday, July 6th, call the Webster Finance Committee meeting to order. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hold on. First on the agenda, approve the minutes of 6/8.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as written, minutes of June 8th.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
I have to abstain.
2 abstains, the rest ayes. No. TA report? That's you?
That's me? Oh. So, a couple of things. I think most of them will come up in the rest of the meeting, but I've been working on a 5-year forecast, which I was going to show you.
No signal.
There you go.
Oh, so let's see if we. All right, so just real briefly. Where is it?
Yeah, you can pull chairs around if you want to see anything.
Well, I won't bore you with the details, but basically I have what I do for the budget every year, and I have the personnel spreadsheet, and so I have that, and I put in everyone's, if they're under contract, I put the contract percentages in that for the next 5 years. And if it only goes, most of ours expire in 19's the last year, so the other years I just put 2%, but I can adjust that easily. And then for all non-union people, I just took the average of what the unions were getting. And so I have that all built in, so that feeds into another spreadsheet, which will show all the personnel costs for the town. Then for all the expenses for the town, if we have a contract, I plugged it in, or I'm plugging it in, not quite finished with all that yet. And then I have an inflator built in for all the other expenses. Some of the things we just don't know what will happen in a few years, so I have an inflator that we can put in. And then, so I'm pretty much done with the expenses. On the revenue side, most revenues I'm just going to project being flat. Property taxes are the easiest not to, because it just grows by 2.5%. So I have to put that into the spreadsheet, and then when I'm all done with that, I'll come and show you the results, and hopefully they show that we're not going to run out of money in the next 5 years.
So that's a 5-year projection?
Yeah, I mean, I could easily make it 10, just drag them out a little bit more, but then the farther you get out, the less accurate it is.
I want to thank you, because I've been asking for salary versus non-salary split of the budget for as long as I've been on this committee, and I'm thankful that you've split it out that way.
Yeah.
You know, the further breakdown of union, non-union, but
Yeah, I mean, it's by every position in
Yeah.
there, so
Yeah.
it'll make doing the budget in January very easy, because it's pretty much done. So.
right. It always helps to be able to project too.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of good help. We have an intern that's helping us, so she got the really boring job of like, okay, type in all of these. but it
Well,
won't.
hey, at least you got the spreadsheet now.
Yeah, right. And then the next item, or you have on here the 5-year capital plan. I've been doing a similar thing with that, so this one's a little more easy to read, sort of. So for each fund, I broke it out by the fleet or equipment that needs to be on a replacement schedule, building maintenance and other projects, and then debt that's already been issued. So all these different spreadsheets feed into this summary sheet. So on here, I have every town vehicle or piece of equipment that should be replaced over time. So I have oops, that's supposed to be getting smaller. So you can see here that I have the time when they should be replaced built in. And that feeds into the main sheet. So on this main sheet, we should know each year what we're spending on capital projects. For buildings, a lot of it's just kind of an estimate of what we may need to do. So in the future, the first 3 years, I have a good idea of what projects we're going to do, but after that, basically I just took a dollar amount for each building based on how big the building was, and I built that in kind of as a placeholder, because we don't know what's going to break at the Armory in
Yeah.
whatever years, so.
3 years
Armory's
is
a
one
bad
thing,
one,
5 years it gets a little cloudy.
Yeah, and this one I have for 20 years, just because.
Should we
even more
wait for,
cloudy.
should we
Yeah.
wait for any questions? or-
And then I have the spreadsheet for just other random projects that didn't fit in well. And then the debt, and I'm gonna I built in green here is the debt for Municipal Finance Oversight Board. That's gonna be the projects we're gonna be borrowing in October. And then for any potential future debt, I'll build that in there too. So I know the school is looking at, renovating the high school, and I'll build that in to see what it would look like if we did borrow it and
Yeah.
when it would fall on the schedule, so.
And this is just for municipal government and not the water and sewer?
So
accounts?
I have water and sewer built in sort of.
It's
but
built into this?
It is, but, so they're working with an engineering company, Ty and Bond, to develop a more formal capital plan. So they're doing a hydraulic modeling to see which pipes are most need to be replaced. So theirs is gonna be a lot more complicated than that, so.
Yeah.
When we get the report from them, I'll build that
Build
into
it
this.
into, okay, that's,
So they want to finish their report by the end of July, and with vacations, some, it always seems to get delayed a little bit, but hopefully.
but with all this work, it sounds like we should have a pretty clear picture of revenue and projected expenses, and of salary and non-salary and capital by by September, say?
Yeah, the goal is to have all this finalized so we are well-informed going into the October town meeting.
Great.
So when we have our hearings or all those things, it should be all done by then.
Any questions?
Yes.
Couple of questions. 3 years is pretty projectable. 5 years is a guess. And I say 3 years because in 3 years, you're gonna have another police contract. And that was the second highest cost to our budget this fiscal year now.
Yep.
One other small thing, with the charter review, we're gonna combine let me not say, I'll go ahead of myself. Propose that we combine a couple of positions, like treasurer and collector. Have you done that in your 5-year projection?
Yeah.
That,
So that's actually not the case, but Earl, you can
That's
speak to
not
that.
on topic here, but I'll speak to that because I'm chairman of the Charter Review. I interviewed with one of the reporters for the Webster Times, and that was misinformation that came out. There is no plan on the Charter Review Committee to combine, in this charter coming up, to combine those positions.
Huh?
The goal with this charter is to
Oh, come on.
The goal with this
Mr.
charter
Chairman.
is to make them from elected to appointed positions.
Through the chair. If you look at any surrounding town, smaller than us, what do you see? They've got a collector, treasurer.
Yeah.
We're 10 years behind the times, and we're gonna stay 10 years behind the times. If you're saying that.
This is gonna go before town meeting.
Oh, no, you said it's not gonna be proposed.
No, but town meeting can change
Not if
that.
it's
We-
not
we have to get
proposed.
front- Well,
But they're depending on you and your committee to bring out the
we're making
major.
recommendations. We're not saying it has to be that.
Is that gonna
and
be a
we're getting off
recommendation?
topic, Mr.
Is that gonna be a recommendation?
Not of the committee. We're making our recommendation.
Yeah.
We're getting
I don't think
You know, through the chair, if I may finish, the last time a charter review committee met, they got the same results, nothing. Nothing, because you know why? These people that sit here Monday night just put it underneath their chair and sat on it. And they were good suggestions, and one of them was to combine.
Mhm.
And that was at least 5 years ago.
Yep.
At least 5 years ago. On the capital, you say what we're gonna need and whatever. Other than this building and having the residual of what the state won't give us if we get funds for Bartlett, what other buildings does the town need at this point?
No, I agree. Yeah, there shouldn't be any large construction projects going on. But, so what I did is built in a percentage of the value of the building for like, you know, repairs every once in a while. So like every 10 years, we know we're gonna have to freshen up, you know, slap a coat of paint on, change the carpet, whatever. So those costs are built in as a placeholder, so when we get there, we're not scrambling for the money.
And we just want to make one last remark. It's kind of ironic. We have this year and next year to pay on the old library air conditioning, principal and interest. And the building's gone. Figure that one out.
Well. But, so you make a good point that, you know, things change, like, you can project 3 years, but maybe not 5, so it will be, it's a very fluid spreadsheet. I mean, you just change one thing here or there, and it'll feed in everywhere else, so it'll be a living document.
Anything else?
Anything else you want me to talk about?
No. Next on the old business was the May 8th town meeting recap. I just thought it's a time to, you know, it's 2 months ago now, but it's time to reflect on that meeting. And I think a couple of good things that came out of that meeting is the electronic voting system was in place. I think we saw a change in attitude at the meeting, and I think it sped up the meeting, and I think generally people were happy with that. And I think we approved purchase of it. I was told that it will be in place for the special town meeting that will be called on July 31st. So it looks like we're on the road to, it'll be a good test too, because it's not that many articles on the town meeting, so it'll be a good break-in period.
Yeah.
The
They
other
came in
side-
last week, actually.
I'm
so-
sorry?
They came in last week, so they're in
Oh.
a box downstairs.
Oh, good, good. The other thing is, there were a couple of negatives at that meeting, and I think it can't go unmentioned. And that was really, we're a committee, and we speak as a committee at that meeting. If we're individual, then we need to speak and clearly identify that you're speaking as an individual. Whether or not you're speaking as an individual, you're a member of this committee. And I think you need to act that way with respect toward town employees and town officials. And I think it's up to us as a committee to create guidelines for us as members of this committee. I'd like to open this up so that we review. We're not going to meet in August unless we have to. But we need to review the guidelines again. It's been a year. We need to take some things out. Things change, and we need to put things in. We, as members of this committee, we have to hold to those guidelines. So I'm going to be looking to bring that up on September's agenda to review the guidelines. Anybody have any comments?
I'm in agreement, and also that not only town employees, but any individual. We need to act as a professional committee
That's true.
in a professional manner.
As far as the town meeting went, so it was my first town meeting, and I just thank you for your support and helping me through it, because it's a little bit daunting to get in front of the whole town. but so thank you for your help.
On the new business, the FY17 Police Department budget Quinn bill, I hear there's something that came to light on the FY17 budget.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, I'll pass this out. So this is the list of potential transfers, areas that, the top part is areas that we need money, the bottom is areas that we have funding. And I think I handed this out at our last meeting, but there has been one update. On Monday night, when we meet, we're gonna be requesting transfers. One of those we're gonna need to cover is the police and the Quinn bill. So, as you know, the most recent contract for the police department built in the Quinn bill into the base salaries. However, the Quinn bill payment that is made every December was due, so basically they got the Quinn bill payment in December and it was started to be built into their salaries for FY17. So it wasn't budgeted for the Quinn bill as part of the budget for 17, so we're short. We'll probably end up being $150,000. So we're going to have to try to cover that with transfers on Monday night. I doubt we'll be able to cover all of that, along with all the other transfers that will need to be covered. And I've talked to the DOR to, ask them how we move forward with this. Likely we'll end as in a deficit, and that'll be a hit to free cash for our FY17 free cash.
Through the chair, could you explain that again?
Yeah, so essentially.
On the Quinn bill.
The Quinn bill wasn't budgeted for in FY17, so it was built into the salaries, but not the payment that was due in December from the previous contract. Does that make sense?
No.
All right, so,
Wait a minute. Quinn bill is the same percentage of
yeah, so
the
Quinn bill is
salaries, right? The percentage of the salaries?
so now Quinn bill is built into the base salary. So if you are an employee, if you're a patrol officer with a master's degree, you get a certain amount, and if you're one with a bachelor's, you get a little bit less.
And that was built in.
That was effective,
When?
That's in FY18's budget.
That's how it's built in an FY18 budget. So that was effective, so I'm not exact, so it should have been whenever that contract was set, and then it should have been adjusted in the in last October's meeting, in in 16's October meeting.
The May meeting, no? When the budget was approved for FY17?
Not
So,
this past-
so,
No, I'm talking a year ago.
the year ago. It depends on when the contract was settled, and the contract wasn't settled before the May town meeting of 2016.
okay, that's right, it went forward to October.
October.
Yeah.
So in October, it should have been adjusted, and it wasn't.
May I finish? What you're saying is, and I will understand it correctly, it was a 3-year contract with the police. Completed by the interim town administrator, correct? Now, what you're saying is, the calculation was not made for those past 3 years on the Quinn bill, figuring in their base salary?
No, so
Yes
the-
or no?
No, so the problem was that the Quinn bill for the up to June 30th, it got paid out in December. It's supposed to get paid out in December.
Okay.
So
It's the FY
16 Quinn bill,
Quinn bill monies that needed to
yeah,
be paid out.
so it got paid out in 17, but we hadn't budgeted for both the 17,
And,
or the 16 Quinn bill and the 17 built into the salaries Quinn bill. Sorry.
Why,
Sorry, that was
how would it
confusing.
be built into the salaries then? That's my question.
What's that?
It was built into the salaries because they got an increase in salary, so therefore they're gonna get an increase in their Quinn bill payment, whether it's 10%, 25%, or whatever. That wasn't figured in there, correct?
Right, so, I mean, I guess it's one way or the other, and I guess it doesn't really matter. So,
Yes, it matters, because you know what? you know what? When we get to this audit report thing, it's all gonna come out.
Yeah, so,
Because we haven't been doing our job, that's what's going on here. You know that yourself, Mr. Administrator.
yeah, so, right, the 16 Quinn bill is paid out in
Seven.
December of 16, which is FY 17. And that was not budgeted for in the 17 budget.
We received monies.
But this was transfer, this was for the prior year that wasn't
Yeah.
appropriated,
Yeah.
essentially.
So essentially, 1 year's worth of the Quinn bill was not budgeted
Yeah.
for.
If you recall, the state used to pay 50%, and the towns used to pick up 50%. The state says, in 2 years. So guess what? Police says, hey, we're taking a pay cut. We're taking a pay cut. Not from us. But guess what? We absorbed it all, just like every other cities in town. It was no pay cut, it's a handout.
Yeah, I mean, that was a while ago, but
Yes,
you're
it
right,
is.
many towns just picked it up.
Sure they did, because the police union said they were getting a pay cut. Because the state reneged. They're looking for the towns to pick it up, and they did.
Yeah.
Through the chair, question. So along the exact same item line, the mobile camera trailer?
Yeah, so-
Is that still included in that, or is that?
No, sorry. So, I'm dropping the mobile camera trailer that we talked about at our last meeting. I think it's a great purchase. I think it would help the town, but under the current circumstances,
There was no money left in the drug trust for that?
That's
no.
clean, that's,
Either it's cleaned out or it's already spoken for,
Okay.
essentially, so.
Can I ask a question,
Yeah.
through the chair? Who, keeps track of this, that fund? Treasurer?
It is, I mean, it's held within the treasurer's department,
But
yeah,
he has an accountant for all that.
yeah. I mean, if you want, I can get an accounting of it.
we did get it a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
And that's when we found out that the interest wasn't being converted
To the general fund, yeah.
But since then, we haven't had any accounting, so it might be a good,
Okay, yeah.
especially if there's money already earmarked out of that.
Mhm.
Through the chair, another item. Building inspector, professional services, 40,000 to tear down 34 East Main Street. Don't we have a revolving account of about $100,000 for something about abandoned buildings or whatever
Yeah,
it is?
so there is a revolving account that has a cap of $100,000, but there's very, very little money in it.
And why are we responsible for tearing the house down? Somebody owned the property, whether it was a bank or whatever,
Yep.
and shouldn't the town say, take it down now?
No, we're trying every legal method to
What,
get,
my question is, why do we have to foot the bill?
because it's a public safety issue. It's a hazard, so it needs to be torn down immediately. We'll try to lien it, and if it does come into our possession, when we auction it off, we'll set the minimum, so we at least get back what it costs to tear it down.
You know, if you go down League Street to the end here to Mechanic, we auctioned off that building on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Still boarded up, and that's not a hazard at this point in time. Anybody, any squatter can go in there, just like any other place, and set the place on fire, and we have to tear it down, but somebody else owns it. Is that correct?
Which parcel? Do you know the address?
Right on the corner of Mechanic and Negus, if you
Yeah.
go down on the left.
So I can ask the treasurer, you know, if it has actually changed hands, the deed.
I know there was, that was in the first auction.
Yeah, that was in the first. And the
And I
second
know
one,
that, I don't know the properties, but I know that one or two reneged. I mean, we kept their deposit, but.
that one
didn't-
wasn't one of them.
That wasn't one of them.
No.
Yeah,
The biggest one was North Main Street, and that's being done over quite nicely. That's progressing very nicely next to the market there,
Yeah.
the
I
small
mean,
market.
if any building in town burned down and the owner's not tearing it down, we'll have to go in and tear it down, and we'll lien the property or somehow go after the property owner. It doesn't matter if it was in foreclosure or tax title.
What's on the town office? I know there was why is that blank? And I know there was a major elevator repair. I wasn't familiar with the roof repair.
Yeah, so there's $14,000 to fund the elevator repair. So I left it blank because it looks like that account's going to have enough money in it to cover that.
Okay.
But just to remind me to check on that to make sure that there really is.
And the other, the question marks are just a placeholder?
Yeah, so this is the first year of the contract for the clerical union, that rather than, they can take a week of their vacation and get paid it out rather than taking a week of vacation. So I just want to make sure that we had enough money to do that. And those were all requests were due by June 30th, so we haven't had time to make sure that we had enough.
And have you gotten any indication from, as to when free cash might be settled for 16?
So 16 is settled.
I mean,
Yeah, so right now, free cash has been certified as much as it can be. So FY17 free cash, the goal is to have it certified by the October town meeting, because we'll need it to fund these deficits. If it's not done by then, we're gonna have to reduce the FY18 budget to cover whatever deficits we have left over from this year.
Through the chair, what is the certified free cash for the general fund for fiscal year 16?
It was negative 4 million, about almost even.
Wait a minute, I thought since we borrowed the money and whatever, we're going to
Yeah, so the borrowing happened in FY17, so it won't all come out in the wash until we do the 17 free cash certification.
so you can't use fiscal year free cash?
No, yeah.
16, fiscal year 16.
Right, there isn't any free cash.
Because the borrowing didn't happen in 16.
Yeah.
But I thought, of the town administrator saying it was certified, I thought he was saying recertified, but it didn't say recertified, so it's still 4 billion.
Yeah, it's still
So come-
negative 4 million. By October, it should all be certified. I have no idea what it'll be. I mean, it should be fairly healthy because we haven't had a real
4 million.
certification in 2 years.
4 million, it's gotta be. Because if we borrowed the money, right? We borrowed the money that we should
Yeah.
have borrowed 2 years before, and if nothing else changes, it's gonna be around 4 million. And on a special town meeting at the end of the month, we're not using any free cash for anything, are we?
No, there is no free cash, so yeah, we couldn't. Yeah, we're not using free cash for stabilization. Yeah.
So then, excuse me, is this for fiscal years 17 then?
yes.
Yes,
These are the transfers for 17. You're in.
I thought that excuse me, through the chair, I thought that the law changed that the administration can do it and whatever, without a town meeting, et cetera,
yeah, so
is this it?
so we have to have it approved by the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen. So that's what we're doing Monday night. So this is a preview for Monday.
So,
We're having a joint meeting with the selectmen.
I know,
Okay.
maybe it's a little too hot for me during the day, but what is the special town meeting for at the end of the month?
We'll get to that in the next line item.
This is,
Can I
What?
ask one more question on the
Yeah.
Quinn bill? So for FY 18,
Yep, the one
our
that we just.
budget is fine.
Yes,
There is not going to be a special 150 payout because the
Right,
Quinn
right.
bill is now built into salaries. We're not going to hear about Quinn bill anymore, right?
we should never need to
Okay.
hear about it.
Thank you.
ask another simple question
Yeah,
to the chair. It's customary to pay the Quinn bill, clothing allowance, and whatever else in a lump sum to the police officers, whatever rank they are. Some of them get pretty decent money, over $10,000 on most of them. Can I give you a what if? They get their money in December, and they leave in April. there any policy that we have to say, look, we paid you for 12 months and you're not here for 12 months on a Quinn bill?
Yeah, so now that's a non-issue because it's built into your base pay, so whenever you leave, you stop getting it, so. But yeah,
Well, wait a
that
minute.
would have been a concern, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they switched to building into
The
the base.
base pay is only gonna be paid till the time they stay here.
Right,
The
yeah.
Quinn bill is for 12 months.
Not anymore. It's built into the salary. There's
It's
no more.
broken into one, what do they get paid, weekly?
Yeah,
It's like a step
152nd?
raise
Okay.
or.
right.
So what you're saying is that they don't get the lump sum in December?
Right, yeah, though I will no longer get that.
Oh, okay, that's what I was missing. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much, yes. Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to select a library building committee project liaison, and also a water capital project liaison.
Did you want to talk about the library project changes? Which is, you skipped one,
Oh,
you skipped one.
Oh,
No,
No.
that's not on our,
library
that's not
building,
on our agenda. It's just a select a liaison.
Yeah.
library and water.
Oh, did you get yours here?
No, I got mine, I
I
printed it.
I printed mine off from the email.
So did I. Unless it's revised. It was a revised one.
I did, yes.
Oh, but I
You
got the
you
revised one
copied
instead of
So
the
which,
Board of Selection.
Oh, I mean.
the original and not, you didn't get it.
Oh, I have it.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have the special town meeting somewhere on your new one?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, okay, yeah, we'll talk about it.
So you're right, the library project changes was, let me explain. There was a agenda that I sent to Chris. Chris didn't post it, so I went ahead and I had it posted, and I made changes to that, well, I sent it to Chris, but I didn't really tell her. So in your emails, you've got a different one than what Chris distributed tonight, okay? The only thing that's different is the library project changes, and I think that's it. So yes, the library project changes.
I've got that one now. It's the one I printed from the
Yeah.
email.
is that, through the chair, has that agenda been posted in time?
That
Yes,
is-
it has, July 3rd.
Well, it's been given to the town clerk,
Posted an email.
but does it cover the amount of time that we have to post it?
Yes,
Yes.
July 3rd,
All right,
today's.
I didn't see it.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
mean, the library project changes and the special town meeting are the same thing, so
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't really matter. So just tell me what you want to talk about.
Yeah, the library project changes.
Okay, so for this will be what we're having the special town meeting for. Here's how the article is going to be written. But basically, there is a retaining wall designed as part of the project. So if you look, there'll be a retaining wall here and currently designed here for the new library. So when the surveyor surveyed that property, he only went to the property lines, and if you go out there, you'll notice that there's a big elevation change right at the property lines. So when the architect designed his retaining wall, he didn't have all those calculations in there, so now that they're building it, they realize, the retaining wall is not gonna be sufficient. So so we have two options from there. We can build a bigger retaining wall at a cost of $500,000, or we can purchase the two properties on Negus Street, 37 and 39 Negus Street, and expand the parking lot to cover this area that reduces, so it eliminates the need for the retaining wall here and makes this retaining wall much smaller. So the cost
Much
of,
smaller?
well, it would be smaller
Shorter.
than, yeah.
Well, that one dimension of the L won't be any shorter.
It'll be, the height will be shorter.
Oh, okay.
So the cost of option 2 is $650,000. So for the $150,000 difference, the library building committee is recommending, and I agree with them, that we should purchase those properties and expand the parking lot to cover that area. That has several advantages to it. First is, there was a lot of issues with the sidelines coming out onto Lake Street right here, because the building's like right hanging over the sidewalk almost. So it's very hard to see around it. So now, if this passes, you come in here and exit out onto Negus Street. Also, it improves the circular.
Can you go back to that picture?
Yeah.
Is that rendition correct? It seems like the building is much closer to Lake Street than that.
That's the old one.
Yeah, that's the aerial view of last year.
Oh, of the old building.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Through the chair, what does the 650 cover? Just the purchase?
Nope, everything.
So knocking
The
them down.
purchase, knocking it down, design of the parking lot, the pavement, every last penny.
That's they have an estimate for that? That's a written quotation
Yeah,
in writing,
yeah.
certified?
Well, it's the it's the project manager's best estimate. Yes.
No, I mean, no offense, but, you know, we just, every project,
No.
every single project that the town takes on, there's always more money
Yeah.
if somebody didn't do their job. I mean, it's,
The thing about this I don't get is
Sorry.
the elevation. Is it really the elevation of the wall, the height of the wall, or the proximity to other building structures?
That make
Because if you're saying it's the height of the wall that was miscalculated, didn't they have elevations? I mean, even if they didn't consider, was it on the other wall?
Yeah, so, good point. So a couple things, if we are able to purchase these and expand the parking lot this way, yeah, the retaining wall can move out this way a little bit because it will only need one lane of traffic
Oh, okay,
going in and out. So,
okay,
So it'll come this way, be a lot shorter,
gotcha,
and cost a lot less.
yeah. Now, is that, like everybody says, is everything, you're changing elevations there, and that's gonna change, water flow and
Right, all the
drainage and-
stormwater, yeah, so,
Is, like Neil says, is that, and what about that electrical pole and
Yeah.
are you confident
Through
every
the-
last thing
is thought of,
is appearing? Yeah.
through the chair. I think TA knows I've been going to the library building committee meetings for the last 4 months, and I think it was the very first meeting I went to, this problem came up, and they talked about the retaining wall not being large enough, but putting a chain link, one of those vinyl coated
yeah,
chain link fence
right.
to raise it, and also, they were aware of this, but at the same time, they were looking at, hammering in steel plates to keep that embankment from caving in.
Right, Yeah.
So that's probably what's factored into, they said it'd be
Well, now-
$500,000 to.
No,
To-
No?
I don't think so, because now what they're looking at trying to do is purchase that property.
No,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
yeah.
option, the option.
Option one, to build a bigger retaining wall. Yeah, that does include, you're right, so here, there's this garage right here.
Yep.
And it's like right on the property
Right.
line. And to put in the retaining wall right there, that garage is gonna fall down, so there's gonna have to be, pilings put in and then backfilled, and that's how a rack gets up to $500,000 pretty quick.
Through the chair, is there any way you submit this to the state for their 75% of the library project?
We can, but no, they're
They
not,
won't.
no.
Is there money still in their budget to take care of this?
Yep, so that's the next item. So, real quick, so there's a purchase and sell agreement that we've drafted. I've approached the owners. They're willing to accept the assessed value price. We have a good relationship, and things seem like they're going well. Our attorneys are figuring out the last couple issues. And then it would have to be approved at town meeting. So to fund this, town meeting approved $12 million when the library construction project was approved. After the bids came in, it just came in at just over $11 million. That $11 million budget includes $1.24 million in contingencies. So the $650,000 would be within that contingency amount. So the project will still be under $11 million.
And that's still with some of the overruns the building committee is,
Yeah.
construction is going on with right now.
Right, so far they've approved 30,000 in change orders. There's a change order that's being fought over, but still even with that, there would be more than enough within the contingency. So of the 11 million right now, the state grant is 7.5 million. The private donations of 1.2 million, and the town debt exclusion would be 2.3 million if that's how it all ends up being. The final state grant is, based on a lot of different things of what the actual costs were, and so that could fluctuate a little bit.
Is there retained earnings in the Corbin Trust,
In the what trust?
the Corbin Trust Fund?
I do not know. I can look into that.
And specifically, what is that trust fund used for? Just the operational or?
Yeah, I'll ask about that. So that, whatever we do, we're gonna have to spend $500,000 more than the, what was currently designed. So, but the difference between the 500,000 and the 650,000, if you break it out on the average tax bill, it's under 19 cents. $19 for the average taxpayer in town.
So the remainder, less the houses, the remainder of that 650,000, less the purchase of the houses, is what it's gonna cost to redo this?
No, so to redo it, to go from what's currently designed to having a nice bigger parking lot, that cost is $650,000.
And that includes the house purchase.
That includes the purchase.
Right,
And
but
that's
I'm
not
saying,
coming
those
up.
houses, say, what was it,
So about
250,000?
400,000
Right.
for,
250 each?
Yeah.
No, it's 250 total,
Total?
yeah.
So 250, that's 500,000, right?
Yeah, so I'll get
I'm sorry, 400,000.
yeah.
So, and we're going to be able to save money by building the wall lower,
Mhm.
so it seems like we're still paying a lot for walls, and redo.
But isn't the proposal that this is gonna come out of the contingency, or no?
Yeah, it
Right,
is,
yes.
it is, but
Okay.
it's still gonna, it's money we don't even have to spend, it would have it for other purposes if it wasn't spent, so.
Through the chair, just because I've not been involved in construction that often, a retaining wall is different than a regular wall. A retaining wall needs to be weight bearing, and I'm assuming costs
Yeah.
significantly more,
Right.
both the survey engineering to put in than
Absolutely.
just
Right.
Significant.
But what I'm saying is the long part of the L, by moving it in, they're not gonna have to build as much a retaining wall.
Okay,
So that's what I'm saying, the money saved from there,
okay.
I'd really like to see the breakdown.
Yeah, I mean, here's
Is there any savings?
from that.
Yeah, it doesn't settle out.
Yeah, to
The
reduce.
numbers don't. You're saving money here, you're spending money for the houses, it was 500, now it's 400, so.
Yeah, I'll just hand this around if you want to see. This is the estimate, how they got to the 650.
Oh, okay.
Well, they're reading that through the chair. The footprint of the building itself, the new building, did that change?
No, not at all.
Okay. So now, the projection on the parking, if the
Yeah.
footprint didn't change initially, was totally I'll say it this way, totally miscalculated. I don't know how many parking spaces they were gonna allot to it, But if you looked at that original footprint, they were short on spaces from the get-go. And they knew it, we knew it, and whatever. Now we're gonna pay for it, and hopefully it comes out of that fund. It's like Mr. Avla's sitting here telling us, well, we went out to bid 2 years after, we had estimates, that type of thing. Like Mr. Dixon says. We're always in a catch-22 over here. We don't do our homework. I know it's a big project. Well, we got a $30 million school that came under budget. What's going on here?
I was under the impression, also through the chair, I was under the impression the state wouldn't
Right.
approve
So it might be.
this project until that site
But yes, this is
was taken care of.
estimate.
That, when coming in and out of the,
Yeah, I mean, they're not gonna fund a project unless it.
right.
It's gonna be,
And I,
yeah.
so I assumed it was approved.
Mhm.
Changes were made and it was approved by the state.
Through the chair, what are the two buildings being used for now? Are they single family or multifamily?
One's multi-family, one's single.
Are they
It's the same
rented?
owner, for both. Yeah, so one is being rented out, so it's a month-to-month lease, so once it's purchased, they get their tenant's notice, and then eventually they'd have to move out.
Oh,
What
Yes.
this doesn't include, Doug, is the money saved.
Saving from not building the
Right.
shorter L Lake, yeah.
Right.
Let me clarify that with the project manager to see how that plays
Because
into
it
it.
might not be a net $650.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
I was gonna ask if there was a breakdown of that, because you showed the 650,000 there.
Well, this
But-
is the breakdown of
Yeah,
that.
but he has it, we don't.
Huh?
He has it, he didn't
just
share it
gave
with
it
us. Can you email that to us?
I-
Yeah.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Is that his copy?
No, I need that.
You know,
Let me
it's,
take a picture.
it's nice to have a bottom total, but it's like cooking something. There's certain ingredients have to go into it to get to the bottom line.
Yeah,
And then
so,
we're always asking for it, or where is it, or how come, and whatever.
Or at least see it go back in the contingency, the remaining contingency. We just need to,
yeah, so I'll clarify if there's savings from not having to build the shorter leg of the retaining wall.
well, there's unencumbered expenses for a planned retaining wall that isn't there yet, so
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
gotta
So,
be.
yeah, I'll build that, I'll ask them about that and have them adjust this and
Yeah.
send it out to everyone. So,
Could I just make one more comment? I had heard that the Noah company was going to approach the property owners, because there's two houses on one lot there, correct? Yes.
I mean, technically, they have been split now, but yeah.
Say that again?
They're two separate parcels. They used to be one.
Okay, all right. But anyway, I had heard that Noah was going to do it, because they have
They have parking issues.
they have a
there.
parking problem. So now, we're going to well, let me not be negative and fictitious. Are we going to lose some of that parking space by just people from that
From them parking there?
apartment parking there? I mean, hey, listen, we're all the town, okay? That isn't
Yeah,
where I'm
yeah.
coming from. But I just hate to see somebody not get a space for the library if somebody's there all day long. Anyway, let's,
Yeah, and
That's a future,
Yeah,
it could
I know.
happen, or.
what I mean.
probably have a
deal with
similar situation that we have out in this parking lot on the side here, that you're not allowed to park there in the day, but at night, if no one else is here, it's not a big deal.
Do you know how many additional parking spots?
So they haven't designed it yet, but they were saying maybe 15.
Said they haven't designed it yet.
Yeah.
That another cost?
Yeah, it's built
part
into
of
that.
It's built into
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So, next item was the select the library.
Hey, sorry, can I cover the rest of the things that we're gonna talk about at the town meeting? So another article is $55,000 from the town hall stabilization fund, to a capital account for, improvements to the basement downstairs. So if you've ever been down there, it is disgusting. So it would renovate the bathrooms, and it would put in a drop ceiling and carpet tiles, and just kind of dress up the basement down there.
Carpet tiles in a basement?
It's easy to replace
Yeah.
them.
Should look at that vinyl plank.
Yeah, I mean, there's a concern because, yeah, there's an area that sometimes it leaks, so.
Jay, you said we had a mold problem down there.
So they have air quality tests, machines that test the air quality constantly. So the offices are okay. There's not a problem with air quality in those. Some of the storage areas, I don't know. I can't speak to it. I think they did studies in the past, but I don't know the results of them. So, but the actual working space is not an issue.
Is there an actual plan for the town hall?
Well, plan is to spend $55,000 to dress up the basement.
How many bathrooms are there in the basement?
So there's a men's and a women's. Never been in the women's, so I don't know how big it is. I mean, in the men's, there's like 2 stalls and a urinal. So, I mean, they're actually pretty big. Just really gross. We can have a field trip after.
No.
'Cause,
We'll take your word for it.
yeah.
I guess the question I'm leaning towards is this gonna be money wasted if the mold does become a problem, or like you said, there's still some damp areas?
Yeah.
Are we just covering up something, or are we?
Yeah, I mean, this is, an interim solution to a much larger problem.
That really hasn't been defined yet?
Yeah, so, there will be leftover money within that fund.
Yeah.
It may make sense to hire an architect to, analyze the building,
Mhm.
but.
Is that the
we could
most
be-
critical part of this building?
Yeah, definitely. That is the biggest issue, is the basement, and I think that gets us for several years without having to spend significant amounts of money in the building.
Look, Jerry, again, you got a $55,000 capital figure there.
Yeah.
What's the breakdown?
So we have some.
Because that's
quotes.
50% of what's in the town hall stabilization fund right now, correct?
Yeah, that is right. So this is the lowest quote. I mean, that's, I gotta hand it around.
This is going to be strictly done by private contractors?
Yeah, so there's a couple things we're doing to save some money. There's partitions left over from a project at one of the schools, so they're gonna use those in the bathrooms, so we don't have to buy new ones. They're reusing the toilets and the other facility parts of the bathroom, except for the sinks. They're getting new sinks. And then, most of the work is done by a private contractor.
Anything else?
Yes. So I'm also asking for a $25,000 transfer from the general liability insurance to the town administrator's professional services account to fund a street light audit. So first I'll cover the general liability insurance. So I built in a 7% increase into the budget. It's actually coming in flat, so that's like, can't remember how much, but well over $25,000. So there's a savings there. The audit for the street light is, I'm working on converting them from our high pressure sodium to LED. So if we do that, there's an annual maintenance savings of about $80,000. There's an energy savings of $86,000, so almost $68,000 in savings. And then also environmental savings if you care about that. Save energy. That's just kidding.
Okay.
So
So the streetlights we put up down here with the grant we got or whatever, that has to be changed to LED now?
So the streetlight audit will go through and analyze whether they should be replaced or not. But right now it's estimated, we're figuring that we are gonna replace those with an LED.
So we're gonna, through the chair, we're gonna spend $25,000 to have somebody tell us,
That we need new lighting.
that we can go
That we
from,
know.
the lighting that we have now for LED?
So the audit is a lot more encompassing than that. So let me get to the good news first, then I'll answer that question. So National Grid owns our streetlights right now. They're actually fully depreciated, so to buy all of them, it's like 1,400 streetlights. It would cost us $1. And then the cost for the LED retrofit is about $300,000 after a $100,000 savings from this state program that's being run through the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, which is the planning group for the Metro Boston area. So to take part of the Metro Boston, the MAPC's program where we'd save $90,000, $100,000, they require a streetlight audit. And the streetlight audit is actually very, very helpful because they go through and they analyze, is enough light getting to all your streets, especially at the intersections, and so they can adjust how much coverage is in those areas and make them more safe. They'll also go through and analyze it and say, you have too much light here, take these lights out and we'll save money that way. So it's more than just, you should switch them. So the payback, if we did this, is 1.8 years. So basically after 1.8 years, we'll be saving the $167,000 every year. What we'll most likely do is borrow in the October town meeting $300,000 to cover the retrofit and probably do that over 5 years. So we'll be paying the debt on that, but there will be an immediate savings as soon as the streetlights are installed.
Like 5 years then if it's a 1.8, and you're gonna be getting saving immediately.
I mean, we can borrow for however long we really want to, just,
Is this,
it's,
Well,
well,
sure.
sorry
Is
to
this-
finish answering
Okay.
that. Like, if we borrowed over 5 years, we'll have immediate savings in the FY19 budget that we can start using that money sooner.
Someplace else.
are we only talking about Main Street, or we're talking
No,
about?
that's the entire town. So if you drive through Sutton, they recently switched all their lights to LEDs. Looks really nice. One of the benefits is you don't have that weird orange glow. If you look at the picture,
Which one's which over there?
The one on the right would be the new lights,
yeah.
the white light. kind
So
of.
the white light, what they do is they match the light of the moon. So it's as natural as you can get.
They're gonna be able to retrofit the old bulbs, huh?
Well, you take the head off the Cobra head and just slap a new one on.
Now, on Main Street, is there gonna be any requirement for any additional construction, because all that's on the ground, the wiring?
So it's only the head that you have to change.
I know, but I'm just saying, they're gonna say, oh, by the way, these things are, can't be retrofitted unless we change the conduit and whatever, and that's on the
Oh.
ground, and,
No, it really is. It's just pulling off the one head and putting the new one on. So,
Is that true for the ones here on Main Street too?
yeah, the decorative ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
is the town gonna do the work? We got a cherry picker,
Nope, it will be covered by contractor. So essentially, yeah, we bid it out. We're doing it as a group through the MAPC, so we get better rates, and they do all the headache work. And then after it's installed, we have a contract with the contractor to come in and fix them. LEDs never burn out, or it takes 20 years before they burn out, so the contract's like very minimal. So.
Through the chair, can I go back to this? Will we run into any asbestos problems doing this renovation?
So they're not taking down any of the tile, which is usually where we have the problem, and just building the wall in front of the tile.
What
So
about the ceiling?
they're putting in a drop ceiling, so they're not even gonna
Oh.
touch it.
No lead paint, nothing?
Yeah, it really is just like building a room inside the room.
Through the chair, that's one estimate. Are we required to get more than one?
Yeah, so I have 3. This is the cheapest.
Any other questions? Do you have anything else then?
Nope, this is just the next steps for finishing up the street light.
And you don't think that zoning change is gonna be
No, that's unfortunately.
All right. Well, moving on, again, for this committee to select a library building project liaison and also a water capital project liaison.
Make a motion for both of them, the chairman on the library and the vice chair on the water.
Have a motion.
I didn't know what the motion was.
Yeah, I didn't get it either. I didn't hear your motion.
Set up. I make a motion that the chairman be the liaison for the library building, and the vice chair be the liaison? How do you say
Liaison.
that? Liaison for the water capital.
If I could make a recommendation, Neil has been attending a lot of the library meetings anyway, and I like to see him around, so.
And the vice chair is already serving on 2 committees.
Well, then there's no second to
Well,
the
we have a
motion, so
motion,
let's...
so.
Is it seconded?
anybody
If there's no
second it or
second,
no?
then somebody else make a motion. Well, the town administrator already made the motion.
If I could, I would have.
I'd be willing to be on the water capital project committee. I've talked to Doran and laid the groundwork to be
Yeah.
involved in that contract should be going out to bid later this month, I believe. And from then, once the contract's awarded, we'll start.
So stay with no second. Mr. the Chair, I'll make a motion for the library building project, Mr. Dixon, and for the water capital project, Mr. Chairman Gable.
Second,
Any other discussion?
how many persons were you looking to have on each of these?
Well, I think, just one is sufficient and again, I think we're making a change for the finance committee, and I think the library committee has been well along, and this is something new, sort of in midstream. But I think with the water and future projects, I think it'll become, more involved from the beginning and involved in, as the project evolves from planning to design to actual building and so on and so forth. So that, I think the more people involved in a project, the better to a certain point. And also, it's an opportunity to feedback and bounce ideas off and so forth. So I think one person on a committee, it's, representing the finance committee is probably sufficient. It's not like we have 15 members.
Can we just ask if there's anybody who has any interest on serving on either of them?
Sure.
Who isn't already nominated? Kara, you're tapped.
Got tapped.
Joe, you have any interest on serving on any of the the liaison groups?
No.
Nick?
I mean, I just don't know when do they meet.
It's
Library
probably
meets-
during the day.
Library meets at 5 normally.
And I don't know when the water committee, when the water planning committee meets, but I assume it's during the day.
Yeah, so. You're out, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
One point of clarification, so technically Neil is not a member of the library building committee.
No, no.
No.
Correct.
And neither will I be
This is a
member.
liaison.
Yeah, so.
There's no voting rights or
Just an attendee.
just.
Yep.
full-
No
Sit there in
stipends.
my little corner.
Yeah. So we'll have executive session so we can kick you out.
Neil, no stipend.
But you get a free library book.
Huh?
You get a free
Yeah.
library book. You get a Poland Spring Water or
Read it.
Okay, we have on the Board of Selectmen's agenda for Monday, they're going to make an appointment for somebody that's expressed interest, and her name is Laurie Iskewicz.
I didn't print it out, but it was not
Yeah.
a common name.
Yes, I think it's Bisewicz or something like
Yeah.
that.
BYSIEWICZ.
The chair, if you recall, she was the lady that got up at the town meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, whether the selectmen like what she said or not to appoint her, I don't know.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of whether you like what she says or not. She's an involved citizen.
Well,
and,
historically,
well,
the politics play its ugly head, and it has in the past,
yeah.
and it has just recently. So anyway, let's hope she can be constructed, if she gets appointed by the selectmen.
And that appointment is Monday, or she'll come before the committee to see if they'll appoint her. And the last item is, well, not the last item, but of new business, is schedule a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen for year-end transfers, which we've just discussed. There'll be a joint meeting on Monday, the 10th, at 6 p.m. I know this is something new, but it's promulgated by changes in the state law that up to a certain amount, transfers can be done outside of town meeting by vote of the Finance Committee and Board of Selectmen. So this might be something that we engage in from year to year.
Yeah, it's
moving
most
forward.
likely be an annual thing. Before, there was, you could do this before, but there was more restrictions that had to be from certain accounts, and it could only be a certain dollar or percentage amount of the budget. So basically, they kind of said, as long as the Finance Committee and Selectmen agreed, that's good.
Through the chair, the agenda that I printed out
Yeah.
is different than what I'm seeing here that we got tonight. One of the items on this here that I initially got was fiscal year 16 town audit. It's not appearing on here.
It's on this one.
You don't have it on this one here.
Oh, the revised one, it must be off.
Huh?
The revised one must be off, just like
Yeah, well, it was on the first one. Why didn't you take it off on the second?
This is the,
It's on here.
On where?
this is the budget, is
That's what
the
was posted.
agenda that was posted. You can see the timestamp, it was posted on July 3rd. The one that Christine sent out was not the final version that I sent for posting. So this one,
Look at this one, that item that on the agenda for the audit is.
Through the chair,
this is what I just
Joe,
said.
the one that
This is the
Christine
one
gave us
Christine
this
sent
evening
out.
in our packet is not correct.
In the packet.
The one in the packet that Christine sent out is not the most current
Okay.
agenda.
No, the one in the
But-
packet that she gave out tonight is
The
correct.
one with the town audit
That's
is
the
the
one
one
they
that you
emailed.
sent out.
The one that he emailed us.
But, so I think the point is, we want to talk about the 16 audit,
Yes.
and that's on the agenda, so we can, so let's do that.
It's on the posted agenda, just to be
Well,
clear.
you just said those
But
last.
then you,
business as well.
to the chair, you went from the select library and water to the last agenda item on number 3. You skipped this audit.
This is.
Well, because we'd already talked about that,
About what?
Didn't have that on
the
it
transfers.
The what?
The transfers,
We talked about the transfers. Remember the schedule we gave out?
we just.
Fiscal year 16 town audit is nothing
Okay,
to
we're
do with
gonna talk about it
transfers.
right now. We're gonna talk about it right now. Huh?
It's got nothing to do with
There
transfers
were
and
two
audit.
agendas. One went out and then changes were made. And
I know that, but which one are we going
We're,
by?
we're going by the official one, the one that was posted, not the one that was distributed to members tonight.
Okay, so just
So-
a few minutes ago, you said we're going to meet with the selectmen.
Yeah, well, I made a mistake.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure I was reading the
That
right
doesn't
one.
happen often, so
Yeah.
we're glad we caught you.
Yeah. So the FY16 town audit, that was distributed in the packet.
So,
The-
just, I wanted to clarify that that was the single audit, which is, only deals with federal funding over like, is it 500,000?
Correct.
So the actual audit of the town is not completed. They are working on it. They're working on the management letter. I expect it next week. So when it's finalized, then we'll share it with appropriate parties.
Now, do you want me to just explain a little bit about what a single audit is?
Sure.
So a single audit is mandated by the federal government. It's an audit that they require for federal funds. So if any entity has federal monies in excess of 500, or a grant in excess of $500,000, and that is subject to specific audit requirements. And so that's what this is. And they actually list out a schedule of federal awards, which is, I believe, all the awards that the town has. Primarily, most of these are usually school funds.
Yeah, there's
because that's
probably
where a lot of
some
the
Yeah, that's
educational
majority.
money comes
CDBG
from. Right.
too, but, yeah.
Through the chair.
But they do also contain management comments, and you have to respond with a corrective action plan. So it might be worth going through this, just to take a look at what they said and what we said.
I mean, I have a preference to just do it all at once, because it's gonna be.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would
I
be
was gonna make that
good.
motion.
But I think one comment on the federal review is, it seems like we're on a watch list, federal watch list now.
Yeah, it wasn't, I can't remember which one wasn't done in time, but yeah.
Is this the first year that we're on the federal watch list?
That I'm not sure of, but I can ask.
Well, that makes federal and state then.
Well, this was just the federal, that's why we don't want to go into much detail,
Well,
because he
you
doesn't
know,
have
through
the
the
full
chair,
audit.
we got this wording here, and this wording is not very nice. And
There's
the
definitely things that need to be
recommendation is
addressed.
The town should implement this procedure, that procedure, that procedure. I've read that from every year that I've been on this finance committee, and that's like 30 years. And guess what? Nothing's been implemented. Are we gonna do that, Mr. Town Administrator?
Yeah.
We're gonna bite the bullet, or we're gonna make people responsible for their jobs and the salaries we're paying them?
Yeah, so we've been working with
It's
the.
it's your headache,
It's a headache.
and what the townspeople is waiting for results.
Yeah.
It's enough of this behind the times.
Yeah,
And
so we
covering-
have we've been working on financial policies, we're pretty much almost there. So at our next meeting, I would expect that we'll present those for the finance committee to recommend to the board of selectmen to approve.
Which we may want to do in August. I know you said you weren't thinking of having an August meeting, but
I think you said no more meetings in July, we maybe have one in August. It's up to
No,
you.
no, I was planning on not having meetings in August, but
No.
it's been a tradition, correct? The finance committee doesn't meet in August, or is that,
Yeah, haven't been,
huh?
no.
No, it
We
hasn't
usually
been?
didn't meet in July and August, but because the law changes about the, balancing of
Okay, then I'm
activities.
good.
I think if we need a meeting, we need a
Yeah.
meeting. I mean,
Okay, if
that's-
everybody's in agreement with that, then.
I make a motion that we wait for the audit until it's complete and we have the old.
well, this is a complete audit, but
Well,
only
yeah.
of federal funds.
Yeah, so
It's part of the.
I would feel
it's part
comfortable
of the
just
audit.
addressing everything at
At
one
once,
time.
yeah. And that, you expect that in the next week or two?
Yeah, certainly before you meet in August.
Yeah. So I think if we plan the meeting in our usual Thursday in August,
What,
that we can put that on the agenda.
Can I just kind of ask a general question about this? It's not, but are we gonna be on pace to make sure that all these deadlines get hit for next year? Everything gets filed on time?
yeah, so,
That kind
I
of-
mean,
I know
that's,
there's a calendar recommended, is
Yeah,
that
we've
at
been-
least kind of in place?
yeah, so actually one of the parts of the financial policies we want to do and we're doing is a calendar of like, just by this day, you had to have this done, so you're ready to turn it in
And whose
November.
responsibility?
Yeah.
But since that hasn't been implemented yet,
So
is
this,
everyone at least working towards making
Yeah,
sure
so-
everything's gonna get done?
yeah, and actually the DOR, they have they call it a TAP program, I don't know what the acronym really means, but, they came in and they said, okay, here's all the steps you need to do to get your tax rate set, so, and we gave them the plan, like, we're gonna have this done by this date, and they approved it, they thought it was great, so we're following that timeline. Yeah,
Through the chair, we've been at this for quite a while. When we get to a town meeting, we hear from one of the finance people, oh, we got this finance team, we meet weekly, et cetera, et cetera. If you look at the finance team, 3 out of 4 of those positions are elected,
yeah,
you know?
I think
So,
that's,
you know, who's on first, what's on second, why is on third? We know how we got behind. We know what people were involved to get behind, and why, what, where, whatever. We're at this point right now. To catch up is, like I said, something I've read every year in every audit report, and I'm still reading it 30 years down the road. But you know what? The road's gotta end somewhere. And it's up to you to find out where the road's gonna end and who's gonna end at the road. And we're waiting and watching.
Yeah, I mean, we need to make sure we get our reports in on time and,
Well, that's not a new requirement by the state, by any means.
yeah.
No whatsoever.
So the August meeting, the first Thursday after the first Monday is August 10th, and I will be on vacation, so.
You been a year yet?
Sometimes it feels like it.
Is it a one-week vacation?
Saturday to Saturday.
Saturday? Should only be Saturday.
Well, it's not much of a vacation because we were driving to South Carolina with 3 kids in the car, so. that's-
So what is the wish of the committee?
Could we plan for the 17th?
We could.
What?
Works for me.
What is the wish of the committee?
First
When it-
Thursday in September.
I make a motion that we meet on the third Thursday of August to allow Doug to attend the meeting as well and to bring us the audit report,
What is that date?
the 17th, Thursday, August 17th.
I'll second that motion.
We having any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
What time do you want to do that, 7?
Yeah,
Seven.
usual 7. Okay. We already discussed the transfers. The last item was an email sent on June 14th by Mr. Finnemore. And I think you have copies of it. But basically, he wants to be assured that we're making every effort to seek federal and state help wherever available, and that we call this out to our state senators and representatives at every opportunity. And he seems to think that there may be some federal money somewhere along the line, and who knows, but I think the fix is gonna have to start happening. And he's also suggesting that we borrow the money up front, and he puts an estimated,
$47 million?
yeah, I think he just took the $200 divided by 40 miles.
That's replacing every single pipe in town.
Well, no, the relining was the $200 figure. The replacement was a higher figure. But in any event, I think it's not a well, you know, I think the town has got a well thought out approach with all the information that the engineering firm has been gathering, and with the new SCADA system that they have a opportunity to say, if we fix this pipe, what's it gonna do further down the line, and how to best, you know, they can project out scenarios. And I think that's probably, you know, a prudent way. I mean, we should be ever vigilant of federal and state monies should they become available, but I think, you know, our problem isn't unique. It can't be compared to, what was it, not Detroit, but where?
Flint, Michigan.
Michigan, yeah. It can't be compared to that. It's more similar to our neighbors. I mean, I saw on Facebook, was it Sutton?
Well, there's something
Somebody
on the
had
telegram.
yellow water just as bad as,
Putnam.
Putnam, was it?
But
Yeah.
they're in a process of replacing. the
yeah,
pipes.
yeah. But I mean, it's not a unique problem that Webster is the only outlier that this is
I thought they
occurring to.
retracted that and said that the people actually got the water from Webster and brought it to them.
So So we have been in contact with Congressman McGovern's office, and he forwarded us a potential grant opportunity. Looks like it's probably more transportation focused, but so we're trying to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have anybody other than you looking for grant monies?
I asked Courtney to do it.
But I mean, there's somebody that's out there, I mean, it's.
Yeah. And
That's searching, you know, I mean, you can, I remember when the water problem first came up, not first came up, but a couple of years ago when we had, you can Google grants and everything else, and there's many opportunities out there for, you know.
And I would think the engineering firm that we're engaged with is up on that.
right, yeah. So certainly, like the major federal grants, they're experts at it because they cover every community in the central Mass. So, yeah, so they're aware of them. There probably are small opportunities from, Google has
I mean, you
fun
just
stuff.
Google,
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
The
there's grants out
the
there.
concern I have is, we've talked about relining these pipes, and if you're at the last meeting, they talked about that there's a new process that adds structural integrity to the lining as well. But then the concrete relining has a life of about 50 years. Then what? Are we just, with the
Passing it to the
relining,
next
just pushing the
generation.
problem
So,
off? That's
We're not gonna be here.
In 50
That's for
years,
sure.
we do it all over again.
yeah, and another 50 or
50 years
Well,
goes
maybe we'll
pretty
be
quick.
together.
what's the life of replacement?
Maybe we'll all be
In
together with a
certain
big
I'm just
fire in the
saying,
middle.
Oh, well,
You know,
yeah.
the
In
thing
certain
is,
areas,
and do you keep putting it off and putting it off for new technology? I mean, every few years you're gonna have new technology. Do you keep putting off the problem until you see what's
Oh.
new technology?
no. All I'm saying is, do we look harder at replacement and not just jump, reline this, reline that?
Absolutely.
And maybe we have to be prudent in replacement or relining, and not just jump on the relining bandwagon in every
Yeah.
instance. That's my only concern. I mean, just think somebody, if you have children or gonna have children, they're gonna inherit this problem when they're an adult. In 50 years, when it recycles and all the linings in Webster are up for,
Brown water's back.
yeah, the brown one is back.
So it would mostly be just broken pipes everywhere, not brown water. So.
Yeah. Okay, any other? So we have a meeting set for August 17th, and a meeting for Monday, and I'm hoping we don't have to meet before the special town meeting on the 31st. If we can get all the information for the transfers, for the warrant articles on Monday, and have that extra information from Doug, then we should be able to vote on those.
Yeah.
To the
it's-
chair, are articles already prepared for the special, or is the special
We just-
open and gonna be closed?
Oh, it was open tonight, it's gonna be closed on Monday.
Yeah, so the articles I'm submitting are right here. And I don't think we'll have a citizen's petition by Monday.
So So again, this is for Monday evening. And I asked Doug, if he gets any more information tomorrow or Monday. We've asked for a few things on the library, more information. And,
Yeah.
that we can make our recommendations on Monday evening. We're going to be having a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen, and I don't know if anybody's seen the Board of Selectmen's agenda, but it's quite lengthy. I had put out an agenda for Monday that we would have a joint meeting at 6 PM with the Board of Selectmen in this room to go over the transfers and also the nomination. And then we would reconvene in the Irene Martell conference room for the remainder of our meeting, go through the warrant articles. Or I don't know if we could stay a combined meeting. I don't know. Is it best? Doug can't be two places at once, so.
So, what I would recommend is that you stay combined until we go over the warrant. And then, once the warrant's been reviewed, and you've had a chance to ask any questions, then you guys can adjourn and have another meeting and then make your recommendations on the warrant articles.
Okay.
So then we'll have to
So-
have a meeting posted for that.
I already have it posted. I have a joint meeting at 6 PM, and on the
6:30 for
agenda,
us, right?
6:30, that we'll reconvene in Irene Martell. That's posted already. It was posted
Okay.
today. So the idea would be to cover everything during, and I assume Andrew would be okay with juggling
Yeah, I
the
think so.
schedule, the agenda. So we'll cover those three topics, and then adjourn and reconvene downstairs. Okay. All right? Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So Neil,
So we're gonna meet for.
Hey, Kyle, excuse me, I didn't mean to say hey, Kyle.
let's talk to Chris for a second.
You said you bought a piece of property in Worcester?
Yeah, we'll
You're
start.
gonna
Okay.
reside there?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Do you have to run
Come on,
downstairs and get
summer
a
resign.
consult?
I resign,
to run
when the time
downstairs?
comes.
Oh, so you're not gonna be with us? Hey, listen,
In the near future.
just take a P.O. box.
You know, if I did that, I would be like
Tell you
thrown
what,
out of
the
here.
town out of state that shouldn't be, that's gonna P.O. box.
Well, it's true, like now it's.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Hey, good luck. Is it a single family?
Yeah, single family, my girlfriend and I were purchasing, but like I said, hopefully I'll still have a meeting in August with you guys, so be with you through then, but I appreciate it. I'll definitely see you Monday though.
And Obama.
Well, that's
Yeah, I wish. Hopefully. I'll be back in 3 years. My plan is Some may not.
I cleaned it.
Actually, I moved back when I was 16, so I spent most of my life in the West.
Yeah, we'll see you guys.
Well, that's what I was thinking. We'll see.
Yeah, we might see you in church. So you might see you in church.
Receive communion.
Yeah, she gives out communion over there.
So where do we stand on these? Did you get any feedback? Okay.
There's the deadline for setting the tax rate by November 30th.
Oh, that's what I asked on the
Saturday
stage.
used to be, always done it by December.
Were you able to, put those four warrant articles?
That's it.
Did you just want to?
2 weeks later.
Okay.
Input,
But DOR definitely wants it by 30th.
so we'll have that for Monday?
30th of December,
No,
or the 30th
of
of November?
Well, you got a
Just
copy.
Put it the
Or
30th
I can
of
give it to you.
Yeah, it's like, so you just do
Well,
everything 2
that's
weeks
what I'm
So you
saying.
just
To have it
said
tight,
you were
so
gonna have this plan, and then
Yeah.
you're not, no intention of abiding by it.
you'll put it
Well, I
on so
mean-
that all you'll need from us
I
on
mean, his
Monday
argument was like,
is
we've
the,
never had it done. It's like, well,
the
just
record.
because you've never done it doesn't mean you can't.
She's
Yeah.
not gonna be here Monday. Half the meeting will be upstairs, and she'll be able to record that half.
That's it?
That was everything.
You know, from YouTube. The other half
So we'll just print them up and present
Not
them?
when-
Yeah.
Brought this up last year. When there's,
She
I
seemed like she was
corrected
gonna have
the
comments,
minutes.
and then never gave me any, so.
when there's no, recording, you'll take the minutes.
Yeah, I think.
When there's a recording, you'll take the
Well,
minutes
just send
after
an,
the fact.
send an, email out, say,
If she
comments
had
due
any
in
comments. Well,
by
yeah,
10
they-
o'clock
that's fine.
today.
They were due
We don't usually get the minutes till.
last Tuesday, right?
Okay,
So,
so
and
it's
I
going
didn't
for
get it.
publication, just say, so you all are in agreement.
We'll take it, that's, I know, we'll take it, as long as you send me the file
That's easy, Bea.
that's got those four,
Yeah.
Okay.
we'll edit
So,
the results of
we'll bring
Monday
them to the
and send it
next
to the
finance
coordinator.
Yeah. I
Are you
think-
gonna throw them out in draft for the split?
Usually type it, right?
And the finance committee, we could pass them
Well,
out
then
next
do
week?
that. I don't know how to do this. Well, cut and paste
My
them
thought
out.
was that,
And we don't
finance
need to give us a
committee
copy.
meets,
We got the copy.
recommends them to the
But we'll
selectmen,
give
and
you
then
the
next
results
meeting.
of what our
I take it to them
recommendations
and
are
say, this is what.
for you to put in, and we
Well,
don't
maybe
stand
what we
with
do
us,
then is, so in our little sheet,
Yeah.
and then.
The warrant is only
that people
closed
can look
Monday.
over,
Oh, that's good.
And then
And then-
we'll discuss it in April.
Okay,
just,
yeah, that way,
get this,
now.
just get this.
Make a recommendation.
Because I know the
Yes,
others,
one and a half inches.
Right. So we're gonna need them on the financial policies after.
They only have to be posted.
And then we'll talk about it in August. Sounds good?
Yeah.
You didn't get any feedback, except for one.
yeah, that's
And
what
then,
it said.
so,
And it wasn't very friendly feedback.
Was it atrocious?
No, it was.
but I'll print them.
Okay.
Did I finish the welcome? Or did you
Yeah.
finish the welcome? No.
I did your welcome. All I did was.
I'll email you that, like, the introduction thing. I said I looked for my file today, but I'm sure I've got that saved on my computer. I just need to
So resurrected.
resurrect it. Said I was looking in my trunk for the file, couldn't find it.
What's her, it's her mobile office.
Now it's covered with all smelly soaps and stuff.
We have to shut the, oh, we got it.
Where did Greg go? Did he leave?
Oh, you got a text.
Oh, did he, I thought he was sticking around, was he?
No, he said he wasn't.
Oh.